Hello again, everybody. This is John and Glenn with Best Price Nutrition. Today we're going to be covering the Cytosport Muscle Milk. It's probably one of the best-selling protein powders on the market in the last 10 years, give or take. So let's go ahead and run through some of the ingredients with everybody. I mean, I think the main catalyst behind the sales of it is the taste. I think people like the taste of it.
Really good.
It does taste good.
Flavors
Most people.
too.
I mean, obviously taste is a subjective thing, but yeah, there's a large variety of flavors, and it tastes good. So today we're going to kind of reveal why it tastes good. So let's go ahead and start off with the nutrition facts on the label. The 5-pounder we're looking at a 1 scoop serving size, of which there's 64. On the 2.48, they use a 2 scoop serving size. It's just doubling the serving. So, and sometimes people get caught up in a product will say 50 grams of protein per serving. Well, let's see how many grams are in the serving. So sometimes that's a little telling. But this particular product will go with the 1 scoop serving size, 35 grams. There's 6 grams of fat, 3 of which is saturated. The main source of which is canola oil or safflower oil, and that's the MCTs, the medium chain triglycerides. And there's 8 grams of carbohydrates, 2.5 of which is soluble fiber, the other 2.5 insoluble, and 2 grams of sugar, and then 16 grams of protein. You want to run through the protein source real quick?
Yeah, essentially it's got calcium and sodium caseinate, milk protein isolate, whey protein isolate, whey protein concentrate, whey peptides. Essentially, it's your typical casein whey blend. Now, if you look at the front, they advertise it as complete alpha beta caseins. Well, that's a misnomer because in order for a casein to be complete, or a micellular casein, it has to have 5 components. I believe it's alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and kappa. Well, right there they're telling you that there's only the alpha and beta, so it's not a complete casein or a complete micelle or micellular casein. So that's sort of leading you in a misdirection because it's not a complete protein. Next is the milk protein isolate, which, yeah, that's good. Milk protein isolate will contain micellar casein. Whey protein?
80% whey, 20% casein.
80% whey, 20% casein. Whey protein isolate, whey protein concentrate, whey peptides. The rest of them is fine, but it's starting off with that calcium and sodium caseinate, which are not complete casein proteins. So, you know, if you're looking for a casein-based protein, there are better options out there than this. So that's sort of the breakdown of the protein.
I think I said that backwards. Isn't it 80% casein, 20%
yeah,
whey?
80%.
I said that backwards.
Yeah,
sorry
80% casein, 20% whey. Yeah.
Okay, so that kind of covers. I mean, the sweetener in here is sucralose, which is common. Now, to get back into why it tastes good, and a lot of people you can mix it in water, notice it tastes good. Well, what they've done is by adding the fats, it gives it that creamy, rich consistency, which really contributes to the taste of the product. So that's why you can get that milk-like consistency while on top of the fact that there's milk proteins in here while mixed in water. So that's one of the secrets behind the taste of it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, they're adding these fats, these MCTs, sunflower, safflower oil, canola oil. And if you notice when you look at this powder compared to like a whey powder, this powder almost looks moist. Well, that's the fat content in the powder.
yeah, you're going to see that come to the top of the actual product, you know, the little almost glistens or whatever. Now, something to consider, if you're buying it for taste, that's great. But really when you're buying a protein powder, the cost is in the protein itself. You can find canola oil is cheap. You can find carbohydrates, maltodextrin anywhere. It's cheap.
Yeah.
So you're paying for protein. So what I do is I tell people, look, take the servings per container and multiply it by the amount of protein. In this case, we'll use the one scoop, size, 64 servings times 16 grams of protein. Well, that ends up with 1,024 grams of protein in a, what is this, 4.94, 5-pound container. So let's look at a comparable product to see how much protein you're getting. So here's Gaspari Nutrition Myofusion. It's somewhat similar. It's a lot less fat. It's 3 grams of fat per serving, so about half the fat. Carbohydrates is 5 grams, so a little more than half of that. And the amount of protein per serving is 25 grams. So again, we'll take the amount of servings and multiply that by the amount of protein in the product. And for that, we end up with 1,575 grams of protein. So, 1,575 minus 1,024, that's another 551 grams of protein. If that's a 25-gram serving, that's another 22 servings. So that's a lot, and that's something to consider. Now, if you want to take it a step further, you look at something like Isoflex, which is a pure whey protein isolate. It's going to have 0 grams of fat, 2 grams of carbs, 27 grams of protein. Now, This one, if we take the servings and multiply it, the 75 servings and multiply it by the amount of protein, 27 grams per serving. We end up with 2,025 grams of protein in a 5-pound container. So that's 1,000 grams more protein. You know, and again, you take that, you just divvy that up by, 25, let's just say that's your serving, that's another 40 servings. You're paying for the protein. You're not paying for the fat and the carbohydrates. Now, again, if taste is the #1 objective, then that's fine. And even with the myofusion, actually, that's become well known for the taste. So, because they didn't quite go as extreme with the fat. It's a lot less fat, less carbohydrates. You still get the really good taste. You get a similar consistency and stuff like that. So, again, taste is something that's subjective. So if it means that much to you, then by all means, buy it based on that. In terms of quality of protein, I mean, you could definitely do better.
Yeah, there are better options. The take home of it, I think, is if it gets you to drink protein and keep your protein intake high because it tastes good, then that's great. But there are better options out there because they're charging you this top dollar for this, and you're not getting nearly the same amount of.
And a lot of people think it's cheap because most sites sell like 2.5-pound muscle milk for anywhere from $20 to $24. Well, it's not a lot of protein.
You're getting 16 servings out of here too.
Yeah, you're getting 500 grams of protein. So whereas or in this case 1,000 versus twice as much of a whey protein isolate. Now again, the big difference here is going to be consistency. This is going to be a lot more liquidy. It's not going to have the same shake-like consistency. Taste is subjective. I mean, it tastes really good. So if you like more like a watery type protein, then this would be the way to go. A little less filling. This is going to be very similar in terms of the consistency. It's going to be more filling. But the fats, I mean, there's better sources of fats you'd probably want to add. Personally, I take like Flora Udo's oil, a tablespoon of that. That's where I would get my fats from. And then carbohydrates, you could eat a banana or something like that, which is going to have fiber, all kinds of vitamins. It's a whole food, so that's something else to consider as well. So, bottom line is you're paying for protein. If cost is your #1 objective, and quality of protein, then there are others out there, other options. If you just absolutely love the taste, but still want to save some money, I mean, you could try something like myofusion and BSN has Synthesis 6. That's another one that's along those lines. Or if you're just in love with the muscle milk, we don't want to dissuade you from it because it does taste good. So that's something to do. But just think about that math. You got to compare it on that level, gram of protein per gram of protein, and then divvy that up by the price and see what you're paying per gram of protein. And that's really what it's going to come down to. So. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and post them in the blog or in the comments section. Did you have anything to add? Or?
No, that was it. Just now that you see the breakdown of actual protein and what you're paying for, there are better options out there.
Oh yeah, and real quick too, these are for men or women. Men or women can use these. When to use these is another question. If it's protein powders, use them to supplement a meal. I always try to tell people, look, if you're on a low-carb diet, maybe you can have some almonds or walnuts. I wouldn't do that with this. There's already all your fat in there. So almonds and walnuts are going to give you some fiber and some other vitamins and stuff, so it's a better source. So eat something like that. If you could also have it, if you're not worried about a little bit of carbohydrates, eat like an apple, a banana. So a protein shake, apple, banana, that's a good snack. Or maybe like an hour before you go to the gym, some people like to down a protein shake. So there's a lot of times to use it. You're typically trying to get to that 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is what most people are doing. And as far as cycling, you don't have to cycle protein. In fact, you shouldn't. It's a macronutrient. You're made of protein, so you need it. So with that being said, if you guys have any questions, please just go ahead and post them in the blog or in the comments section. Thank you.
Thank you.